So first of all, there's two different models, and as I was researching the entire this whole topic, right? And when I'm looking at pricing models as I was getting into business, there's really two kind of schools of thought when it comes to pricing. Number one, the cost plus pricing, and you see this a lot with products, with like a product based business. Hi, Jennifer. Um, you see, we take into account. Hi, Don. We take into account the cost of things, the cost of doing business, or overhead. You hear that word a lot, especially with people who have a brick and mortar store. You need to keep the lights on, so you need to make sure that those costs are covered in your pricing. Now, with an online business, we have a lot less overhead. It's actually really nice. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this, because really, what do we need to start up a business? A computer. And a lot of us have access to that. Either if it's not in our home, we can go to the library or borrow one. When I first started out, my dad literally bought like a $200 laptop, and I used it for the first year and a half, and it was huge HP laptops, like 30 pounds, but it worked. Okay, it worked, and it got me to a place where then I could buy the Mac that I use now. And so what I'm saying here is that, like, very low overhead costs or startup costs when it comes to online businesses. You may think about, like, okay, I might need $15 a month for Canva, right? Or I know I pay, like, I don't remember the exact numbers, $30 for my email marketing service. Or I know, like, my most expensive software is Teachable. So if you're doing online courses, take that into account. There may be a cheaper option to do that when you're first starting out, but having Teachable per month is like $120 a month. However, it's a great service. It's a great product. So I just, that goes into my cost every month. I think my average cost of doing business right now is under $1,000. And so if you're spending more than $1,000 and you're doing, and you have an online business, really consider what is valuable and what is necessary in business. Okay. And there are some things just with business that you need to pay for. I mean, nowadays I have a bookkeeper who is at $500 a month. So there are things that I need to take into account to make sure that I'm covering with my prices, so that I'm making a profit, where and covering my costs, but also making a profit so that I can pay myself. Okay. So there's that model where we're saying, like, here's our costs, and then we need to make sure that those are covered, and then we're going to add a percentage, and that's our cost. Okay. But then there's another school of thought, and that is the value-based pricing model. Okay. And this is one I'm really passionate about, especially for those of us who are in the service industry or service type industry, where you're providing a service like coaching, or having even I would think online courses or things like, or programs like that. That's more of a service based. Like, it's not like a tangible thing that you can walk away with. It's you're teaching. So the value based pricing model is different than your costs. I mean, you need to take into account what your costs are at all times. But if we're online, we're keeping them low. Then our value based is the price that someone is willing to pay based on the benefits your product or your service offer. And that puts a lot of it back on to you, because then you get to define the value. However, if you're like, I'm not an expert and you struggle with imposter syndrome, a lot of that can be a struggle. It can be really a hard thing to say, like, I want to charge this much money. You're going to constantly be talking yourself out of it. So I'm going to talk about why it's beneficial to you to charge more. Okay. And I know that scares a lot of people. Oh my gosh, I have to raise my prices. Oh my gosh, how do I even go about doing that? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly, like, what I've done. Okay. And why it's worth it. Okay. So, first things first, let's make a couple of definitions. And if you're just hopping on, make sure you say hi in the comments. I love to see who's watching live. And if you have any questions throughout this entire thing, remember, in comment box. Okay, so number one, let's define some things. Okay, the cost. The cost is the amount you spend to produce something. Okay, so your cost could be like if you are having a physical product, it's actually like the cost of the book, you know, like the journal that you're selling, the cost of you opening up your brick and mortar store. How much do you comes out of your pocket to pay to have that produced? If you have a service, it's like your cost is little. I mean, it's just really the cost of your time. So if you're creating like a course that you sell passively, it's really just the hi Elise. Oh good, I'm glad you got on. If anybody else is having video issues, I think there were some issues yesterday with live video in Facebook too, and I've been reading about it. It's like an industry thing. So if anybody else is having issues, I'm sorry. Like maybe I need to figure something else out. But for now, we'll just do this anyway. So that's your cost. It's the cost to you. Okay, the price is essentially the cost plus that financial reward that you give to yourself or to your business for producing something. Okay, so coaching services or some kind of consulting services, your cost could be low. It could be like, okay, I have to have $300. I pay $300 a month in software fees. Okay, so that's your cost. Then your price on top of that would be, well, I'm gonna charge $500 to make $200 on this first client, and all my costs are covered, and then I get $200 on top of that. That's your profit, and then you base your prices around that. Okay, your value, and this is really important, and this is something I'm going to really like push on you today, is what your customers believe it to be worth. And a lot of that, like I said, falls onto you. It's on you to provide and to define the value that you provide. Okay? So what is the value your customer places on the benefits that you provide? First of all, so when we get into marketing, we need to think about how we are telling the story of our brand, telling the story of our business, and what value we are bringing. So this is how we can own the value, and really we can define what it is that the customer is paying for. So if we come out and we say, well, I only have 100 followers on Instagram, so because of that, and because I just started out, I'm only going to charge $100 a month for coaching. I'm just gonna use coaching as an example. $100 a month because I'm new. I'm new at this. I don't have a lot of following. So yeah, like I'm just gonna base my value on these things, and because of that, charging $100 a month. Sure, you're probably gonna get people saying like, "Oh my God, that's a steal. That's a bargain." P.S. If anybody ever tells you, wow, this is a steal or this is a bargain, you need to raise your prices. Okay, immediately. Sure, you're going to get people inquiring about it because your price is so low. It's like unheard of. But think about what happens on the back end. Okay, number one situation. You charge somebody $100 for coaching, and you say, I'm gonna coach. It's gonna be 2 hours a month. You have access to me to message me or DM me whenever you need to, and on top of that, I'm going to give you some journaling prompts and homework in between. Okay, so $100, great. Think about the value that somebody who buys that places on that. $100 a month. What $100 for me is, a tank of gas in my husband's SUV. 75. Okay. It's like $100. It's not nothing, but it's also not enough for me to invest in something that's transformational. So if I'm hiring a coach for $100, I'm not expecting much. And I'm not expecting much from myself either. $100 might as well be, right? Like it's nothing. It doesn't scare me as a consumer. It doesn't speak to the other person's expertise. Nothing about $100 says, yes, this, I'm gonna get something out of this, right? So sure, you're gonna get inquiries about it, but then you're gonna have, okay, I need to make it, my goal is to make $1,000. So now you have to have 10 customers pay you $100 in a month. So now not only do you have an hour every other week with your one person, you have to do that 10 times. So now you have 20 hours a month devoted to one-on-one calls. That's a lot of time. You're just giving your time away at that point. And then all the stuff in between, because you're going to have 10 people DMing you questions in between. You're going to have 10 email follow-up journaling prompts and homework for them to pass out. For it's a lot of time for $100. What if you charged $500? Whoa, that's a little scary. Yep. But what if you did that? What if you charge $500 for that same exact experience? Well, now you only need to find 2 people. Now you need to find 2 people. 2 people is a whole lot better to find and easier to find than 10, first of all. And now you only have to do 2 calls a week, right? That's a lot less of your time that you're exchanging. And finding 2 people, it just seems less of a mountain to climb than finding 10 people to pay you $100. It's easier on you. So not only are you giving yourself time back, but now you also have more energy to devote to your coaching, to your clients. It's the same thing if you have clients. It's exactly what I did. When I first started out, I was like, oh, $500 a month and I'll manage all of your social media. $500. I was like, holy crap. I am so undercharging myself because I had 3 or 4 clients at that point just to get a couple $1,000s. That's a lot of work. So I slowly started raising my prices. And then what would happen is I would have somebody new come into my world and they would say, how much do you charge? And I would be like, 1,000 immediately. Now I'm making double what I was making and I only had to sign 1 client instead of 2. So I have more time back. So you need to think about it in terms of your time and what you're providing. If you're worried and you're like, well, if your thought process around pricing is, if I am low, more people will buy it. Sure. Let's say that's true, which I would argue that's true, but we'll put a pin in that. But let's say that's true. If my pricing is low, more people will buy it. That means that you have more work to do because more people are buying it. That's all yours. That's all your time taken away. If you increase your price, sure, you're not going to attract as many people, but you are going to attract the right people. You need to understand you cannot continue to go lowball pricing because you think you're going to attract more people, or if you have higher prices, you're going to scare people away. You absolutely are going to scare people away with a higher price point. But you're not going to scare the right people away. I know people in my world, I know people who charge $500 a month for coaching services, the exact same services. And I know people who charge $8,000 a month for the same exact package. Sure, the people that are buying the 500 probably aren't at a place where they can afford the 8,000. But if she's charging $8,000 a month for that package, that means people are buying that. That means there is a market for it. Don't think there's not, or else she wouldn't be charging it. There's absolutely a market for it. She, on the other hand, now has the responsibility to add $8,000 worth of value through her coaching. However, on the other end, if you're somebody who's buying a coaching package for $8,000 a month, is that something that you would just say, well, that was fun. Glad I spent $8,000. I'm just going to put my bare minimum in though. No. If I'm spending $8,000 on coaching a month, which I'm not. I'm not there. If I'm spending that much money a month on coaching, I am all in, because there's no way on God's green earth that I'm spending $8,000 a month to then turn around and not get something out of it. No. That number is scary. That number is scary. But yeah. So I not only is the person that is receiving that money, not only is the responsibility on her to provide value, but it also is on the person sitting here paying that, because that's scary. I mean, like, I spend $1,100. I've said this before. I spend $1,100 a month on my business coach. That's a scary amount of money for me to pay a bill. That's my high, besides my mortgage payment, that is my next highest bill in terms of price. There's no way that I'm going to walk away from that after I pay that money and say, well, I'm glad I got to just throw away $1,100. No. When I'm investing that money in myself, I'm in. I need to see a transformation. That responsibility is not only on my coach, but it's on me. I can't just sit back and wait for something to happen. I need to be the person that spends $1,100 and changes from it. And you can do this with product too. I used this example last week in one of my master classes, but it's worth restating, okay? So, I need a sip. Cheers. So, leggings. Maybe I'm in the market for new leggings. We're about to get into fall, winter. I'm going to need some new leggings for my workouts. I've always wanted to buy a pair of Lululemon leggings. I've researched them. There are like different styles for different types of workouts. Like, and there's a style for like just hanging out at home. Apparently they last forever. They're $100, $98 for a pair of leggings. You probably think I'm crazy. I think I'm crazy. That's a lot of money for a pair of leggings. I have 8 or 10 pairs of $20, $30 leggings in my dresser right there from Old Navy. Work just fine. They're great. They're great. Perfectly fine leggings for $30. And they probably were made in a very similar factory for a very similar cost, right? But there's something different about those Lululemon leggings. There's something different about them. It's the story that's told around them. It's the whole brand. These are high quality leggings. They're going to last you a lifetime. They're not going to show any sweat. They're going to suck you in. And you're going to look good and you're going to feel good wearing them. And people are going to know you're wearing Lululemon, right? They're going to know you spent $100 on those. Those are good quality leggings. Damn, she's wearing Lululemon. And then you have the Old Navy ones, which are like, those are great. They're fine. But if they tear in a month, I'm not going to be upset about it because they were $30. I mean, I'm going to be a little annoyed, but I'm not going to be like, damn it. if I tear my Lululemon ones, I'm marching back in the store and saying, hello, I spent $100 on these. These should last longer than a month before they get a hole in them. And Lululemon's probably going to say, oh yeah, you're right. We value our products a lot more than that. We're so sorry. Here's another pair without a hole. I wouldn't even care enough about the $30 leggings to walk back into Old Navy and say, hey, these have a hole. I would probably just throw them away and go grab another pair. They're the same thing. They literally do the same thing. But I value the one that costs more because it costs more. I value that as a consumer. I value that brand. If you buy a purse, let's say you buy a purse. You buy a $10 purse off of one of the shelves at Target. It's cute, really cute, right? And then you go and you buy Louis Vuitton for $2,000. It's like a beautiful gift to yourself. Chances are that I'm probably never carrying that Louis Vuitton purse around. I don't want to get it dirty. I don't want to scratch it. I don't want anything to do. I want it to look like it's brand new. I'm going to treat it like it's $2,000 because it is. I just spent $2,000 of my hard-earned money on this thing. I'm going to treat it and treat it like the queen that it is. Meanwhile, my $10 Target purse gets beat up, beat around. It makes it 6 months. My kids start using it as a toy, and I'm like, okay, fine, time for a new purse. And I go buy another $10 one. That's the difference between pricing something and adding value to it. There's the story that we tell around it. The Louis Vuitton, I don't know for sure, but like you can't tell me that it costs anywhere near even like $500 to make that purse. They have got it down to an art where they're just churning them out in a factory, right? The cost of that is not anywhere, but we are paying the premium. We are paying the premium because of the story we tell around it. And then we take care of it and we nurture it and we invest in it and we make it last a long time because we value it. We want it to. We're scared that we spent that much money and that we would just throw it away. It's the same thing when you think about pricing your product or your service. Now, a lot of people say, well, where do I even start with pricing? Where do I even come up with a price? There's a step ladder here. Okay? When you're first starting out, you're literally just pulling things out of the air, right? Like sometimes that's what it feels like. Now, there is the formula. There is this scientific or calculation, whatever, mathematic equation that you can literally do to get to a price that makes sense. So there's like the cost plus your profit margins, and then that would be what your sell price is. And then you would have a margin that you make, that you pocket as a business. There's that. And that's totally fine. And there are industry standards for each of those. However, there's some kind of like more nebulous things out there, like what I do, right? Like having programs, launching programs, having a membership, coaching. You do a lot of those things. I know a lot of you have service-based. Even with products, you're like, where do I even start? I mean, do I want to make a 50% margin? Do I want to make a 100% margin? I mean, am I being greedy because I want to make more? I want to make this a premium product. I want people to like know that they're getting a value out of this. But I also don't want to like scare people away. Like there's a lot to weigh. So number one, the first thing that I did as a business owner, and anytime when I was looking at what do I charge, I looked at competitors. Okay, now there's a good thing about looking at your competitors' pricing, and there's also a downside. But let's start with a good side. It gives you a ballpark, right? It's like, okay, they're charging $50 for this. That seems reasonable. $50 seems a little much for me, so I'm gonna do 45. That feels really good. But ballpark around the same makes sense. People aren't gonna be like, what? Right? So that's the good thing. It gives you a ballpark. It gives you an inside knowledge of, okay, that I'm not too far off. However, this can also make you do things that you would not do normally. I have changed my pricing structure more times than I can count because I never was fully confident in how to charge things. And I'm talking about the client-based side of my business. So when I'm charging people for actually managing, creating their content, managing their social media. So it was, at first I was like, oh, I have these tiers. I have 3 tiers, right? And you pick a tier and I'll do whatever I've, laid out. And then it was, well, what's your budget? What's your budget? You pay me that. And I found myself like, well, this client I pay this way and this client pays this way. And like, there was another client who came back and says, what's your hourly rate? It got to be like, I wasn't standing in any of my own power with it. It was all based on on the consumer side of things. It was all based on the client. It was really hard to manage. So what I figured out really quickly, was that I did not want to count my hours. I did not want to do an hourly rate. I thought it was not only not beneficial for me as the person doing the work, because I didn't want to like do the work and then be like, okay, that took me 2.5 hours. That's gonna be this bill. Okay. But I also didn't want it to fall back onto the client and have them question it in any way. Why did this take so long? Oh, I thought this would take longer. Like I did not want that. I didn't want that. Plus, coming up with an hourly rate is like, whatever. It's like, I have it's like somebody told me, well, you have a master's degree, so you should be charging this much more. It's like this, like literal I didn't want to do calculus to figure out what my hourly rate was. I just wanted to charge something. So what I did quickly was turn everything into a flat rate. If this is what you want me to do for you, if you want me to manage your social media and create content for you, you are going to pay me $1,000 a month. Done. And very quickly I found out that people were like, okay, that's it. So I was like, okay, I need to raise my prices. I need to raise my price. Or I would have clients coming in and saying, like, taking advantage of that, being like, well, can you do this too? And it's like, well, this price was based on this agreement. So you wanting me to do that is going to be an extra cost for you. And it's always really weird having those conversations. But once you learn to stand in it and you understand, like, no, I value my time, I value what I'm bringing to you, then it's easier. It gets easier. So if you are a service-based business, I highly, highly, highly recommend not having an hourly rate. It is against the grain. It's against the whole agency model, but it just isn't worth your time. Come up with a monthly rate, send them a package. This is what's included in that. Anything above and beyond, there will be an extra charge. This is what is included in that. And having tiers isn't a bad thing. It didn't work for my type of business, but it could totally work. Okay, so you can't do the $1,000 a month. Well, for $500, here's what I can do. Give them that. And then, well, I'll hold on to that. But so have different tiers. So you're, some people can't do this, like literally. So have the lower option for them. And then make sure that you're getting that recurring. So it's not just a one-off kind of thing. It's not a hustle every time. Sign him up. This is my rate 3 months in a row. 6 months in a row. I never sign anything shorter than 6 months. So how can you structure your business in that way? How can you structure your business in a way where you're getting a chunk of money that you know you're getting, and you can map out your next 6 months? There's ways to do that in product-based businesses, in service-based businesses, whatever type or model of business you have, you can get that. You can structure it that way. So, we also tell ourselves that we need to have a certain sizable audience in order to, or some kind of visibility in order to make a certain amount of money. I don't say this enough, but I have proven myself wrong in that regard. I have 1,400 followers on Instagram. I have under 600 likes on Facebook. I'm going to be making $10,000, over $10,000 this month, over $10,000 next month. And that will be my 4th 10K month this year. I'm on track to make over 6 figures this year. So don't tell me that you need a big audience for it. You need the right people. We've talked about this. You need the right people. You need to focus on relationship building. You need to earn trust. And those loyal customers will come back over and over and over again. Well, okay, they can't buy the $1,000 package. Well, what's your low-hanging fruit? Do you have something really, like, not somebody wouldn't even think about paying? For me, it was my Reels course, and that really started everything. It was a $20 course that was just selling because it's $20. $20, that's nothing, $20. Then now, not only do you have their email, so you can add them to your email list, but now they also know about you. They're a customer. You've provided some value. So next time, if they need a service within your niche, they're going to come back to you and not go shopping for the next interior designer or the next, health coach or whatever you do. They're going to come back to you because you've provided them value already, and you've given them something, and you've built that relationship. You've built that trust. So you don't need 1 million people looking at you. You don't even need 100. I mean, I have 30 some odd members in this group. 30 people is a lot of people if you really sit and think about it. You need to stop putting value on the people that are out there and start putting value on your time. And when you start putting value on your time, it's so much easier to say, yes, that is what I charge. Do you know how scary it was for the first time I had to tell somebody, like, I'm sorry, that's what I charge? For so long, I was doing business like this. I'll meet you where you are. I'll meet you where you are. Well, I had this customer, and this one put me over the edge. I had this girl from Texas, I think, reach out to me on Instagram, and she does jewelry making. She's a jewelry boutique, and she was saying, she really wants to get this off the ground. That with me. It was me. And I was like, $100 at this point. If you want me to run ads, it's $500 to manage it. You'll get a report. I'm going to babysit the ad for you. You don't have to think about it. I'll create the ad for you. But it's $500. And I told her that, and she's like, oh, I can't do that. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. Can you do $250? And she was like, oh my gosh, of course I can. So I charged her $250, and she was the most difficult woman to work with. Not she was sweet, kind. She was a wonderful person, but she was always texting me, always messaging me, taking up all of my energy. It was just like, what's this? What's that? What's that? Can you explain that? Can we hop on a call? Blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, oh my gosh, you're not even paying me my full rate. And I felt taken advantage of. So I had to say to her, I need to step aside from this. It was the hardest thing ever, but it was not, it was literally draining all of my energy. And I had customers paying me my $500 rate. So it wasn't even fair. It wasn't fair. So I had to let her go. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in business, but it wasn't worth it. And you're worth, you are worth it. You're worth more. You're worth what you price yourself to be. Sometimes it's not a mathematical equation. Sometimes it's just like, that is what I want to charge. There are people, like I said, charging $500. There are people charging $8,000 for the exact same thing. There are people buying purses for $2,500 and people buying purses for $10 for the exact same item. What is the story you're telling around it? What is the value you're giving with that? And how are you protecting your own time? You are not going to be making more money by charging less. It's not going to happen. You are going to be sucking the energy out of your business. You are going to be burnt out. Right now, you're charging something. You feel good about it. What's that next level in your pricing that just scares you a little bit? What is it? Is it $5 more for your product? Is it like $100 more for your service? What's that next level, that next step up that's like, ooh, I could do it. It feels a little weird, but I can do it. Change your price to that today. Change it. I guarantee you won't scare people away. You have to be consistently raising your prices or else you are not going to grow. I have a one-on-one client who is launching her first program. And she told me, I just feel gross. I just feel gross charging $200 for this program. And I said, how long is the program? It's a 3 1-hour sessions. Get tired. 3 1-hour sessions for this. And I said, okay, and what are you going to be teaching? And she went through the laundry list of things that she's going to be teaching. And I said, how long did it take you to learn those things? And she was like, years. And I said, and you think that charging $200 for that is gross? Am I still freezing? We're hitting the 45-minute mark, so Facebook wants to start freezing. It's like clockwork. I'll give it a second. I'm showing that it's still going. Yep, we're at 45 minutes, so it's funny. Facebook doesn't want you to do any live video longer than 45 minutes, apparently. Just let me know if I'm still frozen. Okay, thanks, Christy. Okay, thanks, Elise. Okay, thanks, guys. Okay, so I said to her, how long have you been doing this? or how long did it take you to learn what you're going to be teaching? She said, long time, years. And I said, and you think $200 is undervaluing? People go to college and pay thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to go get an education on things that aren't even, well, let's not get in that argument, but practical. Like, they're very theoretical, right? They're not practical skills that you can take today and put in and implement. They're very theoretical. I have a master's degree. I value college education. My point is that you are teaching practical knowledge from your experience. You're giving it to people and you're charging $200. That is undervaluing. Well, she went to launch. She launched last week and she already has 2 people who have signed up and 2 more people who are going to sign up. And you're like, oh, 2 people, whatever. 2 people and 2 more that are going to for her first course, her first program. Now she has the social proof that she needs to move forward with this. She'll have the feedback from people to move forward with it. And next time she's going to charge more. At first she wanted to charge $97 and I wouldn't let her. I would not let her. No, you're not going to be making more money charging less. You're going to be burning yourself out. So, I want you to have a low ticket item. Low ticket. Something 25, 30 bucks, something people don't even think about, okay? If you have a product that you're selling for around that, what can you sell people for $5? I know Elise has you're going to have your like hardcover journal, your real physical journal, something you can hold in your hand, but I know you also have digital copies, digital printouts that you sell for $5. Brilliant. You have that low ticket thing that people are just going to be like, that $5, whatever. And then you get them to become your high ticket purchasers. Another thing I want you to think about is and I talked a little bit about this last week in my masterclass too. So I'm not trying to be repetitive, but I know not everybody watched that. You have products, offers, you have things. You have more than one way of making money in your business right now. So, what can you do with those things that you've already created and make money today without doing more work? For instance, if you have a program and you have a product, can you bundle those together? Can you bundle those together to sell them in a different way? How can you sell something in a new way so that you can get creative, you can incentivize people to buy more? Really, like, have fun with it. Again, there's no rules. That's the best part about being your own. You don't have to like, okay, we have this discount running or this promotion running from this time to this time. I know my brother-in-law manages the Old Navy in town, and they have a promotion every other day. Like, they have a new promotion going on, and he's just like, I can't keep up. Well, the thing about being your own business owner is like, you can create a promotion whenever you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to create a promotion. And you can just do it. You're like, oh, I really want to finish off this month making $3,000. I have 1 week left. How can I get that last $500? And I think if you start thinking about it like that, you're going to have some kind of inspiration, some kind of like thought, some kind of inspired thought around how to do that. Do it. If you're like, oh, I should really like, I haven't talked about that product in a really long time. I should talk about it. Talk about it. That inspired action, that feeling is yours to act upon. So do it. Act upon it. I really, really want to emphasize you don't have to create something new to sell something in a new way. Oh boy. So how can you, what kind of products do you have right now that are kind of just like, you're how can you start selling in a new way? You can bundle something, you can bundle it up with something else, package it together and sell it as a new thing. You can incentivize somebody, you can give something for free or for half off or whatever and sell that in a new way and get people to purchase at a lower price. In reality, they're just becoming a repetitive customer. Always remember that your customers, your existing customers, are going to be your best customers for the next product. So as much as it's like, oh, they've already bought from me, like I've tapped them out, I've ran that well dry. No, if you're doing it right, and you're standing in it, and you're standing in your power with your pricing and the value that you add to people, people are going to pay you. I had one of you, I won't name names, who just enrolled in my new program, my intensive for September. And she said, I love everything you do. I love everything you do. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. I love you. I love you for doing that. I love that I can provide that much value that anything I put out, you're considering joining. How amazing. And I have people I feel like that about too. I have one of my mentors, I'm just like, anything she puts out that I can afford, I'm in, because she adds so much value. So how can you build those relationships and add that value to the same people? What if it was just like the same 10 people? The other thing about that is, oh, they will, there's not, at some point they're going to surpass yes. At some point there will be a time where these people will not want to purchase from you anymore because they've gained whatever they can from you. But you know what they will do? They'll go and tell their friend. And they'll go and tell their friend. And they are your best marketing tool. And at the end of the day, when you have that, it really doesn't matter what your pricing is. It doesn't. This last 5 minutes here, I really want to get a little woo on you, but I promise this is something that has changed my business tremendously. When I first started out, my pricing structure was all about time. It was all about time. How much time am I committing to that, and how much do I value my time for that? Okay, I think I'm around 20 hours a month for that, so I'm going to do, I'm $1,000. Do the math. It was always about connecting time and money. In the last few months, I've been doing so much work about just being this person who provides value to people, who teaches women how to be online entrepreneurs. That's literally, if I could do one of these teaching sessions every single day, I woke up so freaking excited to hop on this call today and just talk about this stuff in hopes that on the other end of the screen, you are just gobbling it up and taking action from it. That's what I want. That's who I am. That's all I want to be. And so it became less about how much am I charging? How much is it about? And it became more about, yeah, that feels right. That feels right. And so I started creating this outline for my intensive. And I was like, how am I going to price this? And I literally was just like, I want to feel good about this. And my lucky number, I have it tattooed on my foot, is 11. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. 1111. So my price for it is $1,111. And I was like, yeah, that feels really, really good. That feels great. And then I came to a time where I was like, I want to have like some kind of pre-sale. I want to have a pre-sale for it. What's that pre-sale price going to be? I was like, $777, lucky number 7. Just happens to be my husband's lucky number. And I was like, yeah, that feels right. That feels right. That feels right. And you know what? I've already have people who have paid that price. And I know because of that, because I just stood in my power and said that's what it is, that I knew I was going to have people buy it. Okay? So when it feels good, when it feels right, you just know. Sometimes you don't have to look at your competitors. You don't have to do the math problem. You just have to say, that's it. And oftentimes it just is there. It's like that first number you think of. When I came up with the pricing for Open for Business, I was just like, yeah, $47 seems right. That seems right. It wasn't about anything else. It was just that. And I have gotten to a place where I've done this work and I've tried other pricing structures and I've done this whole process and everything I've talked about, where now I feel confident in the fact that what I'm doing and what I'm charging feels right and I'm providing value. And that's not self-serving. That's not anything. That's how I want to run my business. I want to do it with something. I want to do it with these feelings that feel good. I want to do it feel good. When I first started one-on-one coaching, I charged $225 per month. That was in June. In August, I signed my first client. So 2 months later, I raised my price to $750. It's the same package. And I have clients paying that too. Because it's about what I stand in. It's about how I feel about it. And I feel really good about that price. And if you feel really good about the price, then the person on the other end receiving that price, receiving the knowledge of what they're paying, and hearing you say it, they'll pay it. They're going to pay it. There's a difference between... I charge $750. It's $750. I know that's a lot, so if you can't do it, I get it. But, But what if I'm just like, it's $750 a month, and that includes X, Y, and Z. And, I know you're going to kill it. There's such different energy with that. And the person on the other end is going, yep, I'm in. Okay. When I said $750, the person who I first said that to, she was like, yep, okay. There's no question about it. Just stand in it. When you have the energy putting it out there, the person receiving that energy, they feel that too. I'm just learning about this very concept, value-based pricing. And We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. Oh, I need to read that book. So good to know this concept. Yeah, it's value-based pricing. That's what it is. You can do the calculations all you want, but if it doesn't feel good, if you don't feel good about it, if it's not adding value to your life as much as it's adding value to the person who's paying it, then it's not the right price. It's not the right price. Okay? So I did run a little long. If there's any questions, put them in the comments. I also just wanted to say I am running this program in this intensive program in September. It's a 3-week program, okay? And we're going to be talking about, the very basic fundamentals and tactics and strategies of business. And then we're going to build on that, on how to scale from there, and how to grow, and how to create passive income. And then we're going to talk about like embodying the lifestyle of an entrepreneur. And I have so much passion for what's going to learn, what you guys are going to learn in this. So if you want in, I'm still going to offer that the $777 price to my members, because I love you guys and you guys stuck with me and you've built this community. Right now it's 11/11. The $777 price ended Sunday night. So if you still want to be in this, you can still get it for $777. You can pay it in full, you can pay it in 2 payments, or you can pay it in 3 payments. So if you break it into 3, it's like under $300 at that $777 price. So if it's something that you were like, oh shit, I missed out on if you want in, let me know, and let me know this week if you want in. Okay. I've totally said that. I know it's a big investment, but it isn't. I never wavered on what I charge for my hair services. Yeah, Christy's had like 35 different entrepreneurial journeys. I'm just like in awe of her, and she's been successful in all of them, and it's just like, that's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, when Apple puts out a phone and they're like, oh, it's $2,000, people pay it. People pay that because of it's freaking Apple, right? Sorry, I almost said the F button. It's Apple. It's just like, that's what it is. Like, that's what we expect from them. When we go and get a haircut, I expect to pay $50 for a haircut. And my husband thinks I'm crazy because he can go to the barber and get his done for 10. But I'm just like, no, that's what it is. I never question it. So why should it be different with your business? It shouldn't be. It should be just, that's what it is. I just reached out to another woman that I was like, I just want to work with you one-on-one. I'm probably not at a place where I can afford you right now, but what are your prices, just so I have an idea? Totally outside my ballpark of budget right now. But I was like, I instead of saying, holy shit, why the hell are you charging that much money? I was like, okay, I'll see you in 6 months when I can afford that. And she was like, good. She didn't try to haggle me. She didn't try to say anything else. She was just like, this is my price. And I was like, good for you, girl. I will pay that for you when I can. It doesn't have to be this math problem. It really genuinely can be, yeah, that feels good. That feels really good.